The yard looked spotless that morning, just how Emily liked it, edges trimmed sharp, no stray leaves fluttering around the driveway. I stood on the porch, coffee going cold in my hand, watching sunlight crawl across the grass like it was searching for something buried underneath. October in Virginia can fool you like that. Everything looks beautiful, alive even, when really it's just covering up what's fading. Inside the house, I heard her humming. It was that same tune she always mumbled when she packed for a trip, off-key, kind of sweet, but too perfect to feel real. I knew that hum. It was like her tell. "Don't forget your charger," I called out from the front door. "Already packed it," she replied with that breezy, distracted tone of hers. I stepped inside. The living room looked just as neat as always. Too neat. No socks on the floor, no coffee mugs left out, not even a cushion out of place. It was like the room had never been lived in, kind of like our marriage lately. Everything had its designated spot, and nothing ever shifted. Not even us. I leaned against the bedroom doorframe and watched her for a second. Same ritual as always, zipping up her suitcase, checking her phone, fixing her blouse in the mirror. She didn't notice me right away, or maybe she just didn't care. Her hair fell across her cheek in that messy way she used to hate. Now she didn't seem to mind. Maybe she stopped caring altogether. Her hands moved fast, like muscle memory. I noticed the navy blazer lying on the bed, the one she only wore when she wanted to seem important. She always packed light. Minimal. The kind of packing someone does when they've done it too many times before. "You got everything?" I asked, trying to sound casual, but there was something underneath it. A question hiding in a question. She glanced at me, smiled. "Yep. Just the usual." That word, usual. It used to mean something. Familiar. Safe. Lately, it felt like it meant unknown. I walked over, bent down to zip the main compartment of her suitcase, just being helpful, like I always was. She turned away to adjust her blouse, and in that moment, I opened the side pocket. Just a peek. My fingers brushed something metallic. Cold. Foil. Not one. Not two. A whole pack. Birth control pills. A lot of them. I didn't need to look closely. I knew exactly what they were. I zipped it shut smooth, like nothing happened. Just like I always did, quiet, composed. But my stomach. Yeah, it twisted. I heard the hiss of her perfume as she sprayed it into the air, lavender and citrus, something bright but distant. The kind of scent that smells like a goodbye. "My flight's at 11, she said, glancing at her watch. "I should probably call a car." "I'll take you," I offered, keeping my voice even. "You sure? It's kind of out of the way." "I've got time." She smiled again. Polite. Like she was thanking a stranger who held the door. It wasn't warmth. It was obligation. On the drive to the airport, I watched her through the rearview mirror. She was glued to her phone, thumbs moving fast, probably texting. Probably him. She didn't hum anymore. The silence between us wasn't comforting, it was heavy. "Nervous about the meeting?" I asked, just to break the stillness. She didn't even glance up. "Not really. Just a pitch. Nothing major." "You've been working late on it, though." "Pressure makes diamonds, right?" she said with a chuckle, at her screen, not at me. "Right." I dropped her off at the terminal. She leaned in, kissed me on the cheek, quick and businesslike. Like signing off a receipt. Then she wheeled her suitcase away, disappearing into the crowd. I stayed there in the car, engine running, eyes locked on the sliding doors. Everything looked the same. Nothing had exploded. But something inside me, it cracked. Just a little. And cracks. They don't stay small forever. The house felt wrong when I got back. Not empty. Not quiet in a peaceful way. Just wrong. Like something had been removed and no one told the walls. I walked into my office, small space tucked behind the stairs, not much to it. Light came in soft through the blinds, but the air in there always ran a bit colder than the rest of the house. Like it knew how to keep secrets. I didn't touch my laptop. Didn't even glance at it. What I looked at was a small black recorder sitting right in the center of my desk. Sleek, almost harmless looking. No screen. Just one little switch. I turned it over in my hands. It felt lighter than I remembered, like a lie just waiting to be told. I'd planted it in her bag before she left. Yeah. I know how that sounds. But listen, when something doesn't add up for long enough, you stop waiting for proof to knock politely. You go looking for it. And now it was here. I flicked the switch, pressed play. It crackled with a little static at first, nothing scary. But then I heard her voice. She was laughing. Not the soft kind of laugh she gave me, but the kind that sounded alive. Almost like she'd been holding her breath until she got away. He has no idea. I swear. Living with him is like living with a golden retriever. That's what she said. I didn't freeze because of the words. Not at first. I froze because of how she said them. Like it was a joke. Like I was the punchline. I turned the volume up. Then I heard him. His voice. Deep. Calm. Way too familiar. Come on, don't be mean. I'm not, she said, still laughing. I'm just saying. He's so harmless. That word. Harmless. I leaned back in my chair, staring at the ceiling. My heartbeat didn't even spike. It just stopped. Like my body already knew what it was hearing. The recording went on. Bits of audio from a hotel. Doors closing. Voices lowered. Giggles. Then silence. The kind you only get when a recorder's been stuffed into a purse or jacket pocket. But I let it play. They joked about fake meetings. About how dumb her boss was. About how easy it was to sneak around. I listened like a surgeon watches an X-ray. Watching every hairline fracture split what I thought was a solid bone. And then, "Shouldn't we be more careful?" he asked. His name was Derek. "Yeah, I know. Classic." "Careful of what?" she said, laughing. "Mark. He wouldn't even know where to start. He trusts me too much." Trust. I paused the tape. That word sat in my chest like a stone. I got up, walked to the kitchen, poured a glass of water, but didn't drink it. Just held it. My hand was shaking. I looked at myself in the window above the sink. Same reflection I saw every morning. But something behind my eyes had shifted. Not rage. Not heartbreak. Focus. Like when you smell smoke but you've got time to watch where it's coming from before you yell, "Fire!" I went back to the office. Sat down. Pressed play. More laughing. More whispers. Another joke about my lawn, about how perfect everything looked on the outside. "She thinks she's clever," I muttered, barely above a breath. Then I stopped. No. She didn't think she was clever. She knew. I let the tape play out all the way. Even the dead air. Even when nothing happened for almost an hour. Just background noise, hotel doors, zippers, muffled voices. I listened to everything. When it ended, the silence in that office was different. Thick. Waiting. I placed the recorder back down, right in the middle of the desk. I didn't yell. Didn't throw it across the room. That's not who I am. Some men break when they're betrayed. I build. And by Monday, the plan had already started forming. It wasn't complete yet, but it was breathing. Alive. Just under the surface. I started waking up earlier. Not just to think. My brain didn't really need the extra time. It was already 5 steps ahead. I'd lie there in bed, staring at the ceiling while the first bit of light pushed its way through the blinds. The house was still, quiet, holding its breath. There was a photo in the hallway, me and Emily at a beach in North Carolina. Her arm around my waist, both of us squinting at the sun like we were laughing at nothing. I used to stop and smile when I passed it. That morning, I didn't even blink. It just felt like a memory trapped behind glass. In the garage, there was a steel locker I hadn't touched in years. Leftover from my last deployment. The hinges groaned when I opened it, like they weren't ready to wake up. Inside were things I never thought I'd need again. Cords, old surveillance equipment, flash drives still sealed in protective wrap. Some men drink when their world falls apart. Some try to forget. Me. I organize. Back in the office, I cleared the desk. Moved the framed certificates, the little comfort pieces, gifts from holidays, tokens from a time that felt like someone else's life. Then I powered on my laptop, opened encrypted software I hadn't used since before we were even married. Stuff built for people who had to disappear without leaving a trace. It came back to me like riding a bike in the dark. But this wasn't revenge. This was presence. I wanted her to know that I knew. Not through screaming or slamming doors. That stuff's easy to ignore. I wanted the truth to sit with her. To haunt her. Cold. Calculated. Unshakable. Over the next few days, I went through every bit of audio. Not just that first tape. She'd carried the recorder with her for almost 3 days straight. 3 days of lies told with different voices, different moods. Emily with the sweet voice. Emily giggling behind closed doors. Emily mocking her husband like he was some distant, sad excuse for a man she had to put up with. I didn't edit. Didn't cherry-pick. I cataloged everything. Each recording went into its own folder. Each file got a sterile, clinical name, hotel call 1 to mp3, lobbymeeting.wave, laugh, track, 3.mov. Not out of pettiness. Out of discipline. Structure gave me control when everything else had come unglued. And then, without warning, I opened a browser tab and searched for the lake house. We hadn't been there in over a year. Emily always said it was too quiet. No signal. Nothing to distract you. I'd always liked that. No. It was perfect. I hired a handyman to check the plumbing and electricity. Told him I was planning to spend a few days off-grid. He didn't ask questions. Most people don't. And I didn't tell Emily. She hadn't asked. See, that's the thing. When someone's hiding something, they stop paying attention to the little details they used to care about. That's when you know you're not in their plans anymore. By midweek, the lake house was ready. I drove up alone, just me, a duffel bag, and silence. When I stepped out of the car, the air hit me like truth. Cold. Honest. Pine trees stretched overhead, and the lake shimmered like glass cut with a razor's edge. I walked through every room, making mental notes. Installed hidden cameras. Tucked recorders in spots no one would think to check. Placed a laptop in the upstairs office, rigged to sync everything in real time. And on the mantel, above the cold fireplace, I left an envelope. Inside, a still image from one of the recordings. Just her hand, resting on Derek's shoulder. Framed by a mirror in some bland hotel room. It wasn't graphic. It didn't have to be. Her wedding ring was missing. That detail. It was enough. Back home, I went through the motions. Cooked dinner. Asked her how her trip was. Nodded as she lied, smoothly and effortlessly, like she'd done it 100 times before. She thought she was clever. But that was her mistake. She assumed I wasn't. The lake house looked like it hadn't changed in years, wrapped in fog and cold wind, surrounded by trees that stood still like they were listening. Emily pulled into the gravel driveway just after 7 p.m., the sky already swallowed by woods and dusk. The kind of quiet that doesn't feel peaceful, but like something's holding its breath. She sat in the car for a moment, engine ticking, hand resting on the gearshift like she wasn't sure she wanted to go inside. There were no lights on. No warmth in the windows. Nothing waiting to welcome her. Just her own reflection staring back at her from the glass door. She stepped out slowly, wheeling her suitcase up the front path. I'd given her the idea casually a few days earlier. Told her she seemed stressed, said she should take a break, spend a couple of nights at the cabin. She'd nodded, maybe even appreciated the gesture. I didn't say much else. Just handed her the keys and kissed her forehead like I didn't have 1,000 plans already running behind my eyes. The house swallowed her the moment she stepped inside. The air was stale, the wood cold, that same faint scent of pine and dust hanging in the corners. But something about it felt off. Not wrong exactly, but watched. Like she'd stepped into a room that remembered her. She called out for me. Nothing. No echo. No response. Just the soft creak of her own footsteps. She walked through the kitchen and living room, her heels tapping like little reminders that she was, in fact, alone. The place looked too clean. Too untouched. The kind of clean someone leaves behind when they want you to think they were never there in the first place. Then she saw it. An envelope on the mantel. Just her name. Nothing else. No handwriting. Just a neatly printed label. She stared at it like it might grow teeth. Her fingers hovered, hesitated, then grabbed it. She opened the flap and pulled out the photo. Her hand on Derek's shoulder. That hotel mirror in the background. Her ring gone. I'd picked that shot carefully, not because it showed everything, but because it didn't have to. She dropped it like it burned her. Then came the sound. A click. Soft. Mechanical. She turned around fast. Nothing there. Another sound followed. Not a voice exactly, but the echo of one. Her voice. He trusts me too much. It came from down the hall. She walked toward it, slow like her legs didn't want to move. Her feet carried her to the old reading room, a space we barely used, now stripped down to a single chair and a wall-mounted projector. The screen lowered on its own. She hadn't touched anything. The video began with sound only. Her laughter. That same airy laugh she used at dinner parties when she was pretending to enjoy herself. Then Derek's voice. Then her voice again, this time colder, sharper. He doesn't even notice anymore when I lie. It's almost cute. The images started then. Still photos at first. Surveillance shots. Blurry phone screenshots. A slideshow of betrayal, arranged like a gallery. A private exhibition of her second life. A hallway outside a hotel room. A gate at the airport. Her hand in Derek's coat pocket. None of it explicit. All of it intimate. Careful. Precise. She stumbled back into the chair, her hands covering her face. I don't know if she cried. I don't think she had the strength to. Then the audio went dead. And for a long second, nothing. Until footsteps started behind her. Measured. Slow. Unmistakably real. I didn't hide. I didn't rush. I just walked into the room like the truth itself had decided to grow legs. I told you I was listening, I said. She turned, eyes wide, like she was seeing a ghost. But I wasn't a ghost. I was very much alive. I was awake. She just stared at me. Didn't speak. Didn't blink. Just sat there frozen while the projector behind her hummed and cooled down like it, too, needed a moment to process what had just happened. I stood still in the doorway. No yelling. No drama. Just silence. My sleeves were rolled up, hands loose at my sides. I wasn't angry. I was finished. Mark, she finally managed, barely above a whisper. Her voice cracked like something inside her had just broken. What is this? I took one step forward. Just one. This, I said, calm and quiet. This is everything you didn't say out loud. She stood up too fast, knocking the chair back with a screech against the floor. You went through my stuff, she snapped, her voice trying to rise. You spied on me? That's illegal. Immoral. A violation of trust, I finished for her, my voice still steady. I know. Her arms crossed tight across her chest, like she was bracing herself for impact. You had no right. I tilted my head slightly. Not angry. Just taking her in. I had no right to know the truth. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. I took another step forward. I didn't follow you, I said. Didn't chase you down. Didn't break into anything. You carried the recorder yourself, Emily. You told the story. I just listened. She was shaking now. Small. Pulled into herself like a child who didn't know whether to run or hide. I didn't mean for it to go that far, she said, barely audible. I laughed. Not loud. Not cruel. Just tired. Done. But it did. Then I walked over to the coffee table and dropped a second envelope in front of her. This one thicker. She didn't touch it. What's that? She asked. Options. Inside was everything. Every audio file. Every photo. All copied to multiple locations. Safe. Secure. Automated backups. Triggers ready to send them out if anything happened to me. To your boss. To your coworkers. To Derek's wife. She flinched when I said that last one. I wasn't trying to hurt her. I was just telling the truth. I'm not here to ruin you, I said. If I wanted to, I could have already. I'm giving you a choice." She looked at the envelope like it might explode. "What choice?" she asked. "You leave," I said. Quietly. "No lies. No stories. No damage control. You walk away from this life and don't look back. You don't get to play the victim. You don't get to come for anything that isn't yours anymore." Her face twisted like she was trying to find a way out, anyway, and all the doors were sealed shut. "And if I don't?" she asked, almost challenging, but her voice cracked at the edges. I stepped closer, just enough that she could hear every syllable in her bones. "Then you find out what it feels like to be the one exposed. Publicly. Permanently." She didn't say anything. Didn't cry. Didn't scream. Just sat down on the couch like her legs gave up. Her hand hovered over the envelope, but she didn't open it. Not yet. I turned and walked to the front door. Stopped just before stepping out and looked back one last time. "You once said I wouldn't even know where to start if I ever found out," I said. She looked up slowly. "You were wrong." Then I left the door open behind me. I didn't look back. Not once. Not as the cold air hit my face. Not as my boots crunched over the gravel driveway. Not as the lake sat there behind the trees, silent and still, like it had witnessed the whole damn thing. I drove home with the windows cracked, letting the wind whip through the car. I didn't want music. I didn't want noise. I just wanted everything, her voice, the images, the betrayal, to get swept out into the night air like dust off an old shelf. When I pulled into the driveway, it was already dark. Suburban silence, porch lights glowing, everything looking normal. But nothing felt the same. Not anymore. The next morning, her side of the bed was untouched. I poured coffee like I always did, muscle memory, except this time I only made 1 cup. No text. No missed call. No note. Just silence. But it was different now. Before, the silence was heavy, like something waiting to collapse. No. It was just quiet. She didn't come back. She didn't try to explain or argue. She didn't spin some story about needing space or making mistakes. She simply vanished. Like she'd never existed in this version of our life at all. Not a drawer disturbed. Not a closet emptied. Just absence. And somehow, that weighed more than anything else. I didn't chase her. Didn't need to. The house didn't need fixing. I didn't need fixing. I just had to live in it again. People asked about her. Friends. Co-workers. "Where's Emily? She okay? You guys taking a little break?" I gave them all the same tired smile. She needed some time. She's figuring things out. Nobody pushed for more. Most people don't. The truth makes people uncomfortable. They prefer simple answers. Clean endings. The lake house key stayed on its hook. I didn't touch it. Weeks passed. I cleaned the office. Wiped down the desk. Sorted through every folder, every file. The videos. The recordings. Everything I'd gathered with surgical precision, backed up 3 times, stored offline and in a digital safe. But I didn't listen to them anymore. I just kept them. Like a gun you store under the bed. Not because you plan to use it, but because it reminds you that you're not helpless. One night, I stood at the kitchen window, watching rain paint lines on the glass. The kind of rain that doesn't pour, it just lingers, whispering against the house like it's trying to be let in. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. No name. One message. "I'm gone. I won't come back. I won't say a word. Please don't destroy what's left." She didn't sign it. Didn't have to. I stared at the screen for a second. Then deleted it. Not out of bitterness. Just closure. That was her last word in my life. And that was enough. The seasons started changing. The wind rolled in colder. The leaves browned and gave up their grip. Snow came early that year. Light, barely sticking, but enough to turn everything quiet again. I stood by the front window, coffee in hand, and watched as the world went white. The house felt bigger now. Not empty. Just honest. The walls no longer whispered behind my back. Her scent still lived in the closet. Her shape was still etched into the couch cushions. And yeah, some nights I thought I heard her voice, just for a second. While brushing my teeth. While folding laundry. Those stupid in-between moments when your heart still tries to make sense of old routines. But the sound didn't hurt anymore. It just passed through me like cold air through a cracked door, noticed, but harmless. That morning, I opened my laptop. There it was. The folder. Emily, except now, her name didn't carry weight. It was just a label. A file. I hovered the cursor over it. Right-click. Delete. The pop-up asked me if I was sure. I was. And just like that, it was gone. Not just the files. The need to hold onto them. The next afternoon, I went down to the hardware store. Bought supplies to finally fix the busted fence panel out back. The cashier asked me how I'd been. I said, better. And meant it. At home, I worked with my gloves off, even though the wind bit hard. It felt good, raw and real. Earned. That night, I lit a fire. Not because I was cold. Just because I could. And for the first time since everything shattered, I sat in front of it and just let the silence stretch. Not the silence of lies. Not the silence of rage. Just silence. Stillness. I stood in front of the hallway mirror, not to fix my collar, not to check for sleep in my eyes, just to look. To see the man who had been rebuilt. Not through violence. Not through anger. Just through truth. And I nodded. Not because I was proud. But because I finally recognized the man staring back. The storm had passed. The wreckage had settled. And the silence. It had finally run out of things to say. Thank you for visited my YouTube channel. Your support, likes, and comments truly inspire me to create even more engaging content. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. You're a part of this amazing community, and I'm thrilled to share my stories with you. See you in the next video on YouTube.